Hey, good morning. Patricia Murphy here. It's Saturday. This is Seattle Now. Today we're bringing you the best from newsrooms across Washington. First, 4 years ago, President Joe Biden announced an executive order in Seattle that created the first ever national assessment of nature. President Donald Trump rescinded that effort 2.5 years later on his first day in office. But the team that had started the work, led by a professor at the University of Washington, refused to give it up. Now, an almost 900-page draft of the assessment is out for public comment with plans for publication by the end of this year. KUOW environment reporter Bellamy Palethorpe has the story of how it all came about.
On Earth Day 2022, President Biden stopped at Seattle's Seward Park to sign an executive order.
It's an honor to be in this beautiful park with you all.
His remarks highlighted his administration's climate agenda. The pledge to map, catalog, and conserve old-growth trees in national forests got the most applause. But Biden also spoke more broadly about the benefits of nature.
Scientists estimate that the protection and restoration of our natural lands and waters can provide more than 1/3 of the solution to climate change. Just that, if we did nothing else.
And because of those climate benefits, tucked into the executive order that Biden signed in Seward Park was a short clause stating that new research would include an assessment of the condition of nature. About a year after the announcement, Phil Levin was appointed by the Biden administration to direct the National Nature Assessment.
So it was the first time that there was going to be a holistic assessment of the condition of nature in the U.S., so our lands, our waters, our wildlife, and all the benefits that nature provides to people, from jobs and livelihoods to health and well-being to safety from natural hazards, and even to our cultural heritage.
Levin is a professor of environmental sciences and interim director of the Earth Lab at the University of Washington. His initial team produced an annotated outline of the assessment. Those 50 pages are in the Federal Register. And the team was almost done with its first draft when President Trump canceled the effort. So Levin says he had no doubt that he'd just somehow keep it going.
I believe that the work needs to be done. I believe this work is really important for our country. So, okay, the government isn't going to support it anymore. It doesn't mean that the work's not needed. And so we just kept going.
All the authors were already volunteers. About a quarter of them were federal and unable to continue. So Levin had to rebuild the team. He says he never doubted that the assessment was needed. That hunch was validated when he saw the team's preliminary findings.
50% of our wetlands have been lost. Half the country is used for agriculture. 1 million acres of land every year are converted to development across the U.S., and there's 90,000 dams in U.S. rivers that are disrupting, fish migrations. At the same time, there's a lot of hope and optimism. There's a lot of bright spots out there.
The successful dam removal and restoration of the Elwha River, for example, the rebuilding of fisheries on the West Coast, and recent recognition for indigenous stewardship or for the need to plant trees and regreen our cities, he says. Levin formed a nonprofit and rebranded the National Nature Assessment as a national initiative called the Nature Record. 171 authors are on the team. Their third draft is now out for scientific review. With this draft, they're also touring the country, making presentations and asking for public comment. Levin says all the chapters are posted for anyone to see at naturerecord.org.
Whether you're a technical expert or just an interested person, we are wanting to hear from everyone.
He says they've also recently started working with partners in the arts community, and there's an anthology of poetry that's a companion to the assessment.
I mean, we all have something to contribute to this record. Not everybody is a scientist. Scientists can contribute in one way. We all see things that are changing. We all see hope, I think. And so these artists are engaging and creating the record through their own skills and lens.
After the comments are processed, the first edition ebook of the Nature Record will be available for download. MIT Press will also publish it as a paperback book for sale. I'm Bellamy Palethorpe reporting.
Next, for Latino farm workers across the U.S., trauma and inequities have long been part of daily life, intensified by the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, many are left confronting long COVID, a condition that's been difficult to diagnose and treat. SPR's Rural Affairs reporter and Murrow News fellow Monica Carrillo-Casas has more from UW Medicine's long COVID clinic.
The first time that Dr. Anita Chopra had a long COVID patient, she cried. It was 2 years after the pandemic, she says, when the once healthy patient described symptoms of weakness, chronic fatigue, and frequently forgetting daily activities.
I still see him. He's in his late 40s, but the amount of change he dealt with, the challenges he's still struggling with, were just overwhelming.
Chopra is a lead physician at the University of Washington Medicine's long COVID clinic based at the Harborview Medical Center. She is also a primary care provider at the university's primary care center in Shoreline. Researchers and physicians like Chopra say they're still working to understand the long-term effects of COVID-19 and who is most affected. She says she's starting to see a broader pattern in which communities like Latino farm workers are hit hard by the virus. At UW Medicine, medical researcher Leo Morales has been studying how long COVID is showing up in those communities. According to his research, more than 2 in 5 agricultural workers are living with long COVID. That's one of the highest rates among occupations studied. And overall, more than 1 in 3 Latinos report long COVID, which is the highest rate among racial groups studied. Morales says early gaps in vaccine access and vaccine hesitancy both played a role in those disparities.
The best way to prevent long COVID is to prevent COVID in the first place, and vaccines are an important strategy.
At the only long COVID clinic in Washington state, Dr. Kendall Sankery says the wait list is long and the diagnosis process depends on the person. Sankery says she's had multiple patients who have worked with a primary care doctor and actually got to the point of at least suspecting long COVID as the diagnosis within a couple of months, meaning they could get the necessary referral for the UW clinic.
And then I have other patients where they've been dealing with these symptoms for 4 years and haven't come to a clear diagnosis until they're able to get into our clinic.
For farm workers, the referral and wait lists isn't the only issue. Geography also plays a role. Many farm workers live in central and eastern Washington, far from Seattle, where the clinic is based. For a long period, referrals were limited to King County, further restricting access, Sankery says.
Which is unfortunate because I know the rates are higher in that group.
Beyond distance, a 2025 report from the Washington State Institute for Public Policy found that about 40% of farm workers lack health insurance. Chopra says she dedicates 1 day a week to long COVID patients and sees about 6 people. Only about 6% of her patients have been Latino. Sankery, who sees about 16 patients a week, says she also sees very few Latino patients. Both providers say awareness and working conditions are part of the gap. In rural communities, people may not recognize long COVID symptoms or get referred for care at all. Chopra calls delays in diagnosis among Latino farm workers a social determinant of health, shaped largely by their work.
They work in eastern Washington. It is very dry. They can manifest as asthma-like symptoms, shortness of breath. Sometimes they can have chest pain. Some of them experience heart racing for no reason. That impact of COVID on their lungs makes them more susceptible to the dry condition and all the dust as well that they are inhaling.
But Chopra says their working conditions also raise a key question. Could pesticide exposure be to blame?
What we see in patients is some of them have asthma pre-existing and that can become aggravated after long COVID. Some patients who come in, they don't have any history of asthma, but now they have symptoms. Is this pesticide exposure? If they have reactive airways or new onset of asthma, then pesticide can add to it, which is why we will get a chest x-ray, we will refer them for lung function testing. But certainly pesticide exposure can superimpose on the already irritated lungs.
Sankery says that for farm workers, additional testing is important to determine whether symptoms match a clinical diagnosis, such as pesticide exposure. She says this is important because long COVID is often diagnosed based on symptoms alone. Still, Chopra says farm workers often push through symptoms like fatigue, shortness of breath, and chest pain because that's what the work demands. And for many, taking time off to see a doctor just isn't an option.
These patients are also working and sometimes the only working member in the family. So they feel like they have to keep on working and tough it out.
And unfortunately, she says with long COVID, there's no such thing. Her first long COVID patient 4 years ago is a textbook case. I'm Monica Carrillo Casas, reporting.
This story is part of a reporting fellowship made possible by the Association of Healthcare Journalists and the Commonwealth Fund. And finally, you heard about it on Casual Friday. The notoriously late number 8 bus in Seattle is finally getting fixed. After years of advocacy, a dedicated bus lane will run from the Seattle Center to I-5. As KUOW's Anna Boyko-Wyrock reports, it's one of Metro's busiest and least reliable routes.
I'm at a bus stop on Denny Way and Fairview Avenue North, and the 8 is supposed to come right now, but it didn't. Paul Martin was waiting too. He's got a weekly appointment in South Lake Union.
I do a lot of cycling these days, so most of my commutes are cycling, but for an appointment, it's nice not to show up in bike clothes.
Have you ever been late for your appointment?
I have. Thankfully, not very frequently.
Because he plans ahead. Okay, so right now, the bus is 3 minutes late. Are you in a rush to go anywhere?
Well, I have enough buffer in the schedule that I should be all right.
As long as the bus comes in the next 10 minutes. Transportation officials are trying to make traffic flow through this area better for everyone. Eventually, the lane in front of us will be bus only, and cars will have an easier path to I-5. City officials say that will make the 8 faster and more reliable. But those changes won't come until August, after a construction pause for the World Cup. And right now, I'm late for my deadline. Oh my God, here it is. On the late 8, I'm Anna Boyko-Wyrock for KUOW News.
Thanks for listening to Seattle Now, and thanks to our generous financial donors for your support. Help us out by clicking the link in the show notes and rating the show on your favorite podcast app. Our production team includes Caroline Chamberlain-Gomez, Vaughn Jones, Andy Hurst, Brooklyn Jamerson Flowers, and Paige Browning. Greg Kramer does our theme music. Seattle Now and KUOW Public Radio are members of the NPR network. I'm Patricia Murphy. See you soon.
Describe your perfect date.
It's a tough one. I'd have to say April 25th. Because it's not too hot, not too cold. All you need is a light jacket.